So Fred, here we are at Palm Cove now, only a few metres away from the lovely ocean and the Great Barrier Reef.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, it looks a nice place to live.
I think it's a great place to live, and Palm Cove has also been a great place for me when I was a child. We used to come out here camping.
Now this debate's been very divided across the region, of course. Tell us something about that division and these arguments that have divided the community.
Yeah, I think that the thing that's come out of it loud and very, very clear. One is that we've got to stop the stereotyping of people that are less fortunate than ourselves. Secondly is that has to be treated the same way as like a situation with drink driving or drugs to our children. It has to be treated in a sense that the three levels of government across the country need to address it. People in community groups like myself need to address it because the advocates and people like me. And I think the community has to come to realise that people have to have a right, and always a right, to have a roof over the head of themselves and their family.
And Fred, on the way here this afternoon you were telling me it doesn't take much for some people to be in a predicament that they require support from the government for housing.
Yeah, that's correct. I'm a living example of that. I was a young fellow, married in 1965, going along well, saving for a home, had an industrial accident, and my whole world fell apart. Not in an hour, not in a week. It fell apart in seconds. And I needed this kind of help.
Yeah. Now, I've just wandered around this block here at Palm Cove with you, and in the last few days it looks like somebody's come in here with spray paint and they've graffitied it, and we've been reading some of it, and it says, no, stop working, stop this government corruption, and we even saw the swastika.
And we
thought, stop, what is it? The jihad.
Yeah.
Incredible. What's your reaction to when you see this kind of graffiti? And not only graffiti, it's obviously somebody's property. How would they like this on their property?
Well, they trespassed on the property to do that for a start. And as you saw me around the corner, Mike, I'm stunned. I'm absolutely stunned when I got out of the car, and to think that some fellow Australian is doing this. I don't have a really word to put in there, but I'm just stunned that they would go to this part of it, even to go and break the law of trespass.
Where is there either distrust or upset or anger or even hatred? Where do you think that's coming from to make them feel so angry at this kind of housing going on in their neighbourhood?
Well, I think, some people say there's a fear about having public housing around, but I think in cold hard fact is it's lack of knowledge, it's lack of understanding, it's lack of what it's all about, and it's this belief that all of the people in public housing are just very dangerous people, and and I live to say this again, I challenge anyone, find those bad apples, find out who they are, but make sure they can stand the scrutiny. And then put that against the possibility that we're nearing 70,000 households in Queensland of government housing, and then come back and tell me where the good people are.
And I guess living in a community, wherever we live, comes with some compromises and some obligations to your people, to your neighbours and people around you. Would you say that?
Yeah, oh, absolutely. I mean, public housing, people are very well versed with rights and responsibility these days, They very much understand that. But I think the big picture that the community and these people that attack us are missing here, we're part of a community. We're in the same community. We're not some isolated starlag that's set aside to, we're part of that community that housing's in, and we contribute.
Yeah. Now, one of the words or the adjectives that jumps to my mind when I see this kind of graffiti and the anger and the hostility is there seems to be a level of elitism between the people who've got everything and the ones who may not have.
Yeah, and I think that's, it's been they've been called elitist and snobs and whatever, and I'm afraid I have to agree with that. When I see this sort of stuff, I have to agree with what's been going on out in front of a hospital and all sorts of things that have happened, poking pins into dolls. I can't help but believe that you know, it is the elitists that are running this show and trying to make the whole community fear us even more than what they perceive we are.
Mm.